Saints going all the way, Saints going all the way. Kumbaya, this the Who That Nation. Game on the line, you can bet we take them. Go black and gold, black and gold. Don't stop, boy, we trying to win the Super Bowl. We rock and roll, rock and roll. Touchdown, go Saints, we gon' do it some more. We rock and roll, rock and roll. Touchdown, go Saints, now give me some more. Now, who that, who that, holla, who that, who that, holla, who that, who that, holla, who that, who that, who that, who that, who that nation. Black and gold, black, black and gold. Oh yeah, fast up. Black and gold, black and gold, black, black. Who that, who that? They ain't ready, they ain't ready, they ain't ready for us. They ain't ready, they ain't ready, they ain't ready for us. They ain't ready, they ain't ready, they ain't ready for the black and gold, black, black. Who that, who that? They ain't ready, they ain't ready, they ain't ready. What up? They ain't ready, they ain't ready, they ain't ready. What up? They ain't ready, they ain't ready, they ain't ready for the black and gold, black, black and gold.
This is TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And there may be someone out there that may be considering starting a podcast of their own, or they probably already started a podcast and they're just trying to see some of the steps they can take to make their podcast even better. Well, I encourage you to check out the SOTS seminar that will be coming up. This seminar will be designed to help individuals that are starting a podcast or have already started a podcast, giving them the information and tools that they need in order to help their podcast grow. So take part in the SOTS podcast seminar. For more information, email the State of the Saints podcast at stateofthesaints@gmail.com. That's stateofthesaints@gmail.com. Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones. I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. And on cue, as I do my intros, Paxton normally just comes and walk in through the door. So he just told me that he has to go. So just keep it locked right here to the State of the Saints podcast. As I go do my dad duties. Hey, this is TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast, and I want to thank the fine folks at Raycon Earbuds, being one of the official sponsors of the State of the Saints podcast, a part of the Pigskin Podcast Network. You know, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts lately, a lot of the guys that, follow the New Orleans Saints. And it's been really, really great. And one of the reasons why it's been great is because of my brand new Raycon earbuds. I mean, they definitely can do it. Raycon is an everyday earbud. It looks, feels, and sounds great with optimized gel tips and a perfect in-ear fit. These earbuds are so comfortable and they will not budge. Trust me. Raycon gives you 8 hours of playtime and a 32-hour battery life. That's incredible. Raycon are priced just right. You get quality audio at half the price of a premium audio brand. It's no wonder Raycon everyday earbuds have over 50,000 5-star reviews. All you have to do is go to raycon.com today. Use the promo code TPPN15. That's TPPN15. You'll get 15% off of your Raycon order. Once again, use the promo code TPPN15 and you will save 15% on your Raycon earbud purchase. Trust me, you'll thank me later. All right, sorry about that, Who That Nation, but like I always say, I'm a father first, so my boy had to come in there and we're working on potty training, so y'all know how that go, man. When they tell you they have to go, you got to do what you got to do. But thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast where we talk New Orleans Saints. Really do appreciate your time. Really thank you for stopping by so we can talk a little bit about the Saints Week 5 matchup. Saints versus the Seattle Seahawks in the Caesars Superdome. So this show is basically just talking about some of the things the Saints need to do in order to get the victory today. Before we get started, I would just like for a lot of you to know there are some inactives. Of course, we already know about quarterback Jameis Winston and Michael Thomas. But as of today, you have inactives of Marcus May, Kelvin Throckmorton, Nick Vanette, Jarvis Landry, which is a huge blow to the wide receiver room. And those are some guys that the Saints really rely on to help. Marcus May is missing, I want to say, his second game in a row. And Jarvis Landry has been dealing with that knee injury that he had a couple of weeks ago. He tried to fight through it in London, but I just think he just had a little bit of setback. So that opens up opportunities for guys like Traquan Smith, Deontay Hardy, and also Marquez Callaway. And you know that Chris Olave, who has been serving as that number one receiver role, he's going to get most of the attention. They're probably going to be able to roll some coverage over there to his side. So it's going to take some of these other guys to be able to step up. We've seen Callaway make a tough contested catch last week. We want to see him follow that up. And also, you know, if we can get some catches in between Traquan and Deontay Hardy, that would be nice as well. Andy Dalton will get his second start. So you're probably going to be seeing some play. Maybe we'll see some catches by the tight ends. You had Adam Troutman had a few catches last week. Juwan Johnson had a catch. So this is going to be huge for a lot of these guys. They got to step up in the absence of Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry. And also, we have the return of Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara did not play last week due to that rib injury that he's been dealing with since week 1. He tried to gut it out versus the Carolina Panthers. Even he said it was a pretty bad idea for him to come back so prematurely. He decided to miss the game, or the Saints coaching staff decided to have him miss the game against Minnesota. But now he's back, and I just feel like it's probably going to be a good game for Alvin Kamara if he's healthy. Maybe we'll see a little bit of the glimpses of Alvin Kamara, which we seen in the past. And what gives me that level of confidence is because Andy Dalton has done a really good job in years past throwing the ball to the running back. Now, if you go and follow the Cincinnati Bengals, you know he had guys, you know, he can catch the ball out of backfield, you know, like even Jeremy Hill. You know, Jeremy Hill was there for a while. You also had Gio Bernard. He was there. And also for a glimpse, Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon, before, you know, Joe Burrow was his quarterback, you also had him catching the ball out of backfield. So Andy Dalton has always utilized the running backs, throwing to them out of the backfield. So this can possibly be one of those games where we actually see the Saints start to utilize the screens. But that's not going to be the reason why the Saints are going to win, in my opinion. The Saints are going to win because I just feel like this is one of those games where maybe this is going to be one of those games where we've been looking for, where the New Orleans Saints are actually winning by halftime, or being close or tied or something like that during halftime, where you don't have to completely suspend and throw out the entire offensive playbook. Do I feel like their offensive woes are going to change and they're just going to light up the scoreboard? Absolutely not. But I think that there's some things that they can actually capitalize on, you know, something they can actually build on that they did last week. No, they didn't get the victory. And yes, it was a heartbreaking loss with the double doink field goal, but they did a lot of good things. They did a lot of good things to win that football game. So the Saints have to do some good things not to lose the football game. So you look at them offensively, I think they match up really well versus the Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks total, they're giving up about 430 yards per game, 438 yards per game. A lot of that can be kind of misconstrued due to the fact that they went to a shootout and they allowed the previous opponent, the Detroit Lions, put up 40 points on it. So that can be a little bit of a outlier. The Seattle Seahawks, we know that they're one of those teams. They like to be physical no matter what their defensive circumstance is, and they like to run the football. Rashard Penny is coming off a really big game last week. I think he averaged about 8 yards a carry. I don't see the New Orleans Saints giving him 8 yards a carry, but you got to be able to neutralize the running game, because what happens is if you don't neutralize the running game, just like the Saints on last week and in certain points of the game, it sets up the play action and you leave guys on the island all alone. I mentioned my son, having to go, use the potty. Speaking of which, we got to talk about DK Metcalf, who had a big game. He didn't get into the end zone, but he had over 140 yards receiving, and he will be more than likely going up against Marshawn Lattimore. Marshawn Lattimore, who had a tough outing against a really good wide receiver in Justin Jefferson. So he's going to want to bounce back. We watched the game last year between DK Metcalf and Marshawn Lattimore. It seemed like, they were getting a little physical. Seemed like DK Metcalf was trying to big boy or try to sun that man. It wasn't a good look. We know that these are the type of matchups that Lattimore mostly, gets to be able to get I guess, he's the guy that wins these type of matchups, the guys that are big, the guys that are physical, the smaller guys, the little, sophisticated finesse type receivers are the ones that he battles with, not so much the big guys who are big and physical. So I think that this game right here is going to be, a game where I feel like, he's not going to be able to completely stop DK Metcalf, but there are going to be some plays where, he prevents DK Metcalf from making an even bigger play. And then you also have one of my favorite wide receivers in the league, very underrated, Tyler Lockett, a guy that can get down the field, a guy that can get behind your defense. So it all starts by stopping the run. You got to be able to stop the run. And I heard people talking about Geno Smith being a running quarterback. Geno Smith is not a running quarterback. He runs when he has to, when he feels like the pocket is breaking down and he has to go out here and he got to make a play. That's when you see Geno Smith running. I feel like anybody that's calling Geno Smith, running quarterback is just simple. He's black and he's a quarterback, and that's just the stigma, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, he black, I mean, he got some wheels. He gonna run out of the pocket more times than not. But Geno Smith is a guy that can beat you from the pocket. He's gonna throw the football where it needs to be. He's extremely accurate this season. He's leading the NFL in completion percentage at 77%. I don't expect for him to stay at 77%, but I mean, it shows you right there where he is as a passer and a guy that seems like he's really figuring it out. Now, I had the Saints winning this game 27-16, but due to the absence of a Jarvis Landry, a guy that I feel like can actually move the sticks, I feel like I got to take a few points off. So I'm going to say the Saints are going to win by a score of 23-16. I think that Jarvis Landry plays a huge role. He's a guy that can, get those yards after the catch and also gives you those, first downs when you're on third down. So I feel like that loss right there is going to be huge. Also, we heard about some moves that the Saints made. The Saints brought back wide receiver Kevin White. Before anybody rolls their eyes about that, if you watched Kevin White in preseason, he did a really good job on special teams. And if you watched the game last week versus the Minnesota Vikings, you see why the Saints need to make some moves on special teams. Speaking of special teams, I would like to see Deontay Hardy play a little bit better. That just was something that just kind of popped in my head. But some moves that the Saints made, Kevin White coming back. They also signed Chris Harris Jr., and they activated him to the active roster on yesterday. If you're watching or listening to this on a Sunday, and they activated Chris Harris Jr. along with Keith Kirkwood, who they signed, a former New Orleans Saint, went to the Carolina Panthers for a couple of years, and now he's coming back being on the active roster. Don't expect for him to really do anything today. More like just, dress in case somebody gets hurt. He can come in, maybe, run a few routes, be able to make some plays because he's familiar with the Saints offense. But that right there. Okay, hold on 1 second, buddy. Sorry, something's not right. All right. Wait a few minutes. All right. As I watch Paxton's nose. All right. Okay. But anyway, but yeah, 23-16 is the score that I feel like the Saints are going to get the victory. Let's go ahead and stroll up. Read some of your questions, and then this is going to be a relatively short show. We're going to be back for halftime. We're going to be back for the post game. So that's the way that it's going to be. Let's see. Why is Peyton Turner inactive? That's concerning. Yeah, that's extremely concerning. Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah, you hold your microphone, okay, and Daddy hold his. Okay. Okay, Daddy doing the show. Okay, you go get your tablet. All right. Thank you, buddy. But anyway, yeah, that is very concerning. It's very concerning that Peyton Turner is a healthy scratch. I mean, being a first round pick, the Saints expected you to be, integral part of the team going into your second season, and it seems like he's having a hard time getting on the field, and that tells you a lot. That tells you that the guys that are, some of these guys that are part of that defensive rotation are beating him out if he can't even see the field. That's not a good look, and it might be something that we need to pay attention to going down the stretch. I really don't see Seattle 3-4 holding up against Kamara and Olave. I know adjustments will be made. I just know these two athletes are better than their athletes on defense. Execution is a must. Well, look, I think that some teams actually match up bad. The Saints offense matches up bad against certain teams' defenses, especially when they have athletic linebackers, because the Saints rely so much on the screen and they, in some of these short yardage passes that turn into something even more. So, but I mean, Bobby Wagner isn't walking through that door, and the guy that has been replacing him, he's done some good things, but he's done not so good things. So this is a young defense for Seattle that's still trying to figure it out, and this isn't Earl Thomas's Seattle Seahawks. I can tell you that, but it doesn't mean that these guys on a prideful bunch and they watch that tape and they want to be able to make up for some of the ineptitude that happened last week. So anybody just think, oh man, Detroit scored 40 on them, that means we gonna easily score 40 on them. I can't say that, because all teams are different, especially when teams are not in your conference and you're not familiar with how they're going to come at you. So there's that. Hit that like button, everyone. Yeah, I appreciate everybody. Hit the like button. 151 people watching this right now. I ask that you hit the like button. We can't shake the injuries, man. Well, look, injuries come. That's just the way that it is. As long as football is going to be here, there are going to be injuries to key positions. That's why it's very important for teams to have really good depth in situations like this. They got that next man up mentality. Take what you want from that. We all know that there's a reason why guys are starters. There's a reason why guys aren't starters. So the next man up mentality is basically like you have somebody that's pretty solid there until your star gets back. And if that happens, then I think the Saints would be fine. But look, I think the Saints are in much better shape than they were last year. If you would have like significant injuries to key name players, I feel like there's a much of a bigger difference. Let's see. If we don't win, I'm gonna put a hit out on DA. Well, you definitely shouldn't want to say that on social media. I can tell you that. But look, these are the games, that decide, what type of coach, what type of direction your team is going in. And you can kind of give the Saints a little bit of a pass because you got a lot of bad football being played out here. A lot of teams are 2-2. You got a few teams that's 1-3. So it's taken a lot of teams time to figure it out. But the thing about it is you don't want to be so complacent and lackadaisical, then you fall into a 1-4 hole. That's when the panic is really going to start happening. That's when really, when people really going to want to, want some heads to roll, if you will. So whatever's going on with the New Orleans Saints, they better go ahead and fix it, because fans are tired of hearing about how close you are and how much you're shooting yourself in the foot. It comes a time when you start hearing the same things over and over again, and you find yourself like tuning out. And I feel like if you start to have more games where you're doing the same things over and over again, people are gonna start tuning you out, and they're gonna think maybe it ain't just the team, it's the person that's coaching this team. And I mean, the Saints organization and Saints fans prideful now. You know, like we've reached levels of success and we want to stay there. And you know, if we're not in the hunt or close to the hunt, then we're going to be wondering why isn't that the same way it was a couple of years ago? You know, why isn't things the same? So the only thing we can look at is who's the head coach. Tim, thank you very much for the $5. Says I give my left arm for them to run the ball 30 times today. Just run it no matter what. Yeah, I just think that you have to be committed to the running game. I just think that some coordinators become so impatient with the running game that they don't allow for it to develop. They don't appreciate the 2 and 3 yards, which I don't understand, especially when you have a defensive-minded head coach who understands like how much a defense actually needs breathers, how much defenses actually need to stay fresh throughout the game, especially with some of these rules catering to the offense. You would think that they would have more of a methodical pace and a good balance of run and pass, but they don't. But you can also say that the reason they don't get into these situations because they're getting blown out, you know, and they have to find themselves playing catch up more times than not. So you got the offense out there that's starting late, and the defense got to keep on bending but not breaking, bending but not breaking, bending but not breaking. And then finally the offense gets it together around 7 minutes and 40 seconds of the fourth quarter, 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. But the defense is pretty much gassed because they spent the majority of their time on the field than the offense did. So you have to be able to complement one another. And that's something that the Saints have been lacking. It's been a lack of camaraderie, a lack of cohesion. You know what I'm saying? Like cohesiveness. Cohesiveness. It's lacking there, and they got to figure it out, man, because time is running out. I'm strolling down. The Ghost 187 says, Tim, if we run 30 times, we'll have almost 200 yards rushing. Well, I don't know if they have 200 yards rushing, but you'll have a well-respected, balanced attack. Let's see. More likes. I appreciate y'all, man. I appreciate y'all putting that out there, man. We're trying to help the show grow. We're trying to do the things we can. So if you like the show, you like the content, I ask that you hit the like button. Keep the likes coming. Let's see. 150 people watching. Now we need 50 more likes. Let's see. Hey, TJ, it's cleanup time. Well, look, it's been cleanup time, man. It's been cleanup time. That's why I said it's getting a little annoying. And when you keep on saying the same thing and you keep on having these same problems, I mean, it basically just sounds like this to me.
Clean up, everybody, everywhere. Clean up, everybody, do your share.
I mean, that's what it sounds like to me, right? That's what it sounds like. I mean, clean up this, clean up that, you know. So might as well go out here and get Barney and Baby Bob to sing for you, because it's bad business. Let's see. Maybe we should trade Thomas soon, TJ. What you think?
The next time you get in trouble, call a crackhead.
I ain't trying to trade no Michael Thomas, man. Look, I get it. Like, the dude been injured, had a little bit bad luck over the years, but man, we see what this dude is when he playing, and he's beneficial. And it's not like let's not get it twisted. Let's not act like the dude over the last couple games that he played wasn't a 100-yard receiver waiting to happen. He just wasn't getting the ball. I mean, go back and watch the film. He's open. So it's not like, like he lost a step or he's terrible. Like, come on, man. Like, if it wasn't for him, I don't think the Saints win week 1. I don't. I think we know that. So I ain't talking about trading on Michael Thomas. Look, I get it, right? You know, you're thinking about the injuries and it's in the back of your mind. You're like, man, maybe we should get rid of him. No, I'm not trying to get rid of him. And then on top of that, right now, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have a young wide receiver in Chris Olave that's making you not even think about Michael Thomas as far as like him not being out there being productive because how special Olave is. So, I mean, him being out, that hurts. But at the same time, we're watching possibly a young star rise before our very eyes. Like, as of right now, if the season was over, Chris Olave would be Offensive Rookie of the Year. So, I mean, the way that I feel about Michael Thomas being injured today is not the same as it was last year when he was the offense. Nah, I'm not trying to get rid of Michael Thomas. I get what you're saying. I understand the frustration. I understand a lot of people starting to like percolate with the whole injury prone thing. I understand all that, but I'm not trying to get rid of Michael Thomas. It don't matter how good you are if you don't play. I agree with that. I agree with that, but you got a lot of guys that ain't playing. You know what I'm saying? If we want to be real, like Alvin Kamara missed, how many games he missed over the last 2 years, right? You got some stars out there, for the exception of Cam Jordan and maybe Demario Davis, like who hasn't really missed like a significant amount of time. I mean, that just happens, man. I'm not trying to make excuses. And like I said, I understand people's frustration because it's like, okay, you back. Okay, you missed all this time. You missed the entire season. And it seemed like, all this stuff that was going on. Now you come back and now your foot hurt and now you're out for a couple more games. Look, I completely understand that. But I'm not trying to get rid of the dude because of how much talent he possesses. I mean, so I'm not trying to get rid of him. I get it. Like I really do. I'm not even mad at that statement because you know what I'm saying, like it's you're human. You know what I'm saying? Like you're human and you think about like how important and how impactful he can be, and he been hurt, you know what I'm saying, and him getting hurt. And you just start thinking about like, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's wrong with this dude? Like, maybe we need to go in another direction. Because I mean, this reminds me, and some of y'all probably know this dude. You know what I'm saying? He even played for the Saints for a while. Akeem Hicks. You know what I'm saying? No, not Hakeem Nicks. Hakeem Nicks. He got drafted out of the University of North Carolina, and he was a really good wide receiver for the Giants. I mean, dude had like he basically, to me, he was almost similar to Michael Thomas. Wasn't the fastest guy in the world, but was a hellified possession receiver. Had like vice grip for hands, and like he, if you try to, what I'm saying, like try to jam him in man coverage, he gonna win that matchup. Like when Hicks was healthy, that boy was a beast. And then all of a sudden, like a knee injury here, an ankle injury there, and then he started bouncing around the league, and then finally, like he couldn't find a home anymore. So I get it, right? Because Hakeem Nicks, he was truly man, he was a beast. And him and Michael Thomas got a lot of similarities. But I get that, but I mean, but as we've seen, like when he's out there, he's still as dominant as he always is. But that's a fair take for those that I'm not gonna say, man, they're just absolutely, crazy for you to think like that, because I'm pretty sure when it came to even the biggest Saints fan, you probably thought about, man, what's going on with him and why he can't stay healthy. It sucks. Brett the Hitman Hart, thank you for the $2. Says, I can help the Saints with execution is my forte. I'm pretty sure you can, Brett. 5-time WWE champion. What, about 4-time Intercontinental champion? Yeah. Master of the sharpshooter. Yeah, you definitely can get him. You can definitely get him in shape. Let's see. No, we get a first and a third probably for Mike T. Still not worth it. The workload he handles alone is impossible to replace. Yeah. But we'll see, man. We'll see. Mike T hasn't seen the field much in 2 seasons. No team is beating the door down to trade for him right now. I don't know if they're beating the door down, but if they wanted to trade him, they probably could. You know what I'm saying? Like a team probably would, like because of his upside. But I don't think that's happening. The Saints have no interest in trading this dude, and they shouldn't now. But we can still get a first for him if he has a good year. Well, look, I'm not trying to trade Michael Thomas. He have a good year, I want that to be beneficial to the team. I ain't trying to see Michael Thomas getting traded. I'm not. People, you're basically saying it's because the dude been hurt, but I mean, when the dude is out there, he pretty dominant. Like there is no, like it's not like he hurt and has been back in the fold and has done absolutely nothing. Like he's been out there balling. He's been out there getting converting on third downs when the ball goes his way. I mean, he's still as productive. It's just the injuries. So I don't want us to just completely like just blow this thing out of proportion. Offense will have a better no excuses today. They have to be accountable, and defense will take care of the rest as long as the offense does their job with protecting the ball. Yeah, there are no excuses today. I mean, this is do or die basically for me. This is a must win. We're not discussing this, but this is a must win. Unless the Saints about to just completely lose their minds and not and go on like a 12, 13 game winning streak or something like that, because this is it, man. I mean, another NFC opponent. If you lose to them, it gives them a better opportunity. It gives them a better opportunity, and it gives you an even worse opportunity. Just like today, to be honest with you, if you want to be real, we ought to be cheering for the Falcons to beat the Bucks. As crazy as that sounds, but we should, because the Saints actually, as of right now, beat the Falcons. So if the Falcons beat the Buccaneers, and let's just say, down the line when the Saints play the Falcons again, and they beat them, it gives them a better chance. So to me, like, you got to start racking off some wins, and you definitely got to start racking off some wins in your own conference. All right, so if the Saints next week lose to the Bengals, right, it's not the end of the world because that's an AFC opponent. Yeah, it's a hurtful loss, but in the NFC, I'd rather them win them NFC games and their division games than to beat Joe Burrow next week. Seriously. Like, right now, it's time to start winning. It's time to start winning, and you definitely want to start winning in your conference. Because if you don't, then your season can be over, and you'll be waiting on tiebreakers and watching the Jumbotron and hoping that this team lose so you can get in the playoffs. Nah, man, it's time to start winning right now. If you're not winning right now, then you're probably not going to win at all. It's just that simple. I want Mike. That's the market, is all I'm saying. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we talking about it from a business aspect. I'm not saying, I'm pretty sure you're working in hypotheticals here, but I'm just saying, as for me, I wouldn't have any interest in trading them. I mean, but this is a business. Rather have gave up 2 more first to get Watson. Let's see. David says, how does Watson make us better right now? Good point, because he couldn't play till week 11 anyway. But to me, man, I get what people are saying, but I don't think that the Saints' issue is a quarterback problem. It's an offensive execution. It's the offense and the execution problem. It's the way that you dealing with these penalties. It's just the way that the offense is, the plays are being called. They too conservative. I don't know if anybody can win in these type of situations. I don't know if anybody. Now, there are a few quarterbacks out there that can rise above their situation because they're so good they can turn it into their own situation. Like, there's a few quarterbacks out there that can do that. But you got other ones that rely on the play calling and the execution in order for them to be successful. So I don't know, man. I don't know if many quarterbacks can be in this situation right now and they'll still generate some wins. I'm just being real. I don't know. I don't know if many, like, based on how this play call and how conservative they are and how it just seemed like everybody just on a snap count. Like, I don't know what's going on with this. Like, you'll see Taysom Hill. He'll be hot as fish grease. He'll run 2 big plays and then you don't see him again to the 4th quarter. Or you'll see, like, Mark Ingram getting 4 and 5 yards a clip, and then all of a sudden they'll throw the ball 7 consecutive times. It's crazy. It's like a whole bunch of stuff that go on, and it's like they continuously get in their own way. Like, they'll run the ball, I don't know, like 3-4 times in an entire half or something like that, and be throwing the ball. Like, it just don't make sense. No rhyme, no reason, no nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like on first down, well, you should run the ball because most people run the ball. Second down, let's see where we at. We 2nd and 10, so let's try to throw the ball. Okay, we at 3rd and 2. Okay, let's try to, like, come on, man. Like, where's the creativity? Where is it? Where is it? Like, where's the creativity? They got to be creative in this game versus the Seattle Seahawks. Let's get back to it. Like, if it don't work, it don't work. But at least, like, you trying to do something different. It's just too conservative from the offensive standpoint and a defensive standpoint. And if you're playing scared like that, and if you're playing nervous, you're going to lose more times than not. And to me, it just seems like there's no killer instinct with this Saints team this year. There's no killer instinct. There's no dog mentality. Like yesterday. Okay, like yesterday, I watched my alma mater, Jackson State versus Alabama State, right? And after the game, Coach Prime and Eddie Robinson Jr., the head coach of the Alabama State Hornets, they, you know what I'm saying, they went to the 50-yard line. You know, Coach Robinson jerked his hand away and walked off. Why? Because he said he was upset about some of the things that, you know, that Deion Sanders and Jackson State did, like throwing the ball with 40 seconds left on the clock, right? But it rubbed him the wrong way. And then Deion Sanders' response was, isn't like when you have the ball, the objective is try to get into the end zone? You know, like, I'd rather teams be mad at, you know what I'm saying, at the Saints, like, man, these, you know, man, they kind of being kind of disrespectful here, huh? Like, there is no killer instinct. Y'all remember a couple of years ago, I want to say it was 2018. It's like 2018. And the Saints were like beating the brakes off the Philadelphia Eagles. And then all of a sudden, you see Sean Payton call a wheel route to beat Malcolm Jenkins for the touchdown. I mean, it was overkill. But at the same time, it sent the message that, hey, man, this team is trying to go for the jugular. Like, not only are we trying to take your heart, we trying to take your soul. We trying to take everything that you have. There is no killer instinct in New Orleans right now. It's a bunch of soft play. It's a bunch of conservative play, and you ain't winning many games like that, right? Or you might go up against a team that's going to slap you in the mouth, and they're going to be mad disrespectful about it. So I just would like for the New Orleans Saints to get back to being some disrespectful sons of guns every now and then. To let teams know, man, look, hey, we one of the baddest mofos on the planet, and y'all about to get all this smoke. I don't get it. First down, let's run the ball. Second round, where's Taysom? That'll work. You know, like, come on, man. Like, be aggressive. Walk to the, you know what I'm saying? Walk to the stadium with some swag, man, like some confidence. Know that you the baddest team on the field. But I ain't seeing that. But long story short, folks, before we get into the game, people that I'm going to be watching in this game, number one, I want to see Marcus Davenport. I think Marcus Davenport should be a very interesting matchup against him and the rookie Charles Cross. You know, that should be interesting. We know that Charles Cross is a guy that a lot of us thought the Saints may consider maybe moving up to try to acquire. He's a guy, you know, left tackle out of Mississippi State and has had a really solid season. So it will be interesting to see if Davenport can actually win that matchup. Also to see what Cam Jordan can do. You know, Cam Jordan getting the hurries, and he also got a half a sack along with he and Marcus Davenport last week. Let's see what can happen. Also, you know, Demario Davis has had a solid season. I know a lot of people may not believe this, but he's ranked the highest among New Orleans Saints players throughout the 4 games that they played. And I get it because, you know, Pete Warner has kind of overshadowed his play because how well Pete Warner has been playing. He's leading the league in tackles as of right now. So he's been a tackling machine. But Demario Davis has really stepped up and made some plays when necessary. Also, I'll be paying attention to seeing with Chris Harris Jr. and how many snaps he's going to get. You know, I'm pretty sure like in certain packages, the Saints are going to bring him out there. We know Chris Harris is not the Chris Harris of old like he used to be when he was all pro back in 2016, but he's still a guy that can make some plays, and he's a smart guy. And, you know, being a safety, replacing PJ Williams, who's on IR, so he's going to miss at least 4 games. It's good to have a seasoned veteran back there with 12 years experience that can go alongside some of these other guys and be able to put them in position. I think it pays to have a guy like Chris Harris who's seen it all and done it all, has had over 100 starts. I think that kind of is helpful. Like when you have that type of mentor out there to be able to help, the secondary get into certain positions and also be able to help them identify certain plays. So it's always good to have veterans out there. I think that was the role that Malcolm Jenkins kind of served in that secondary towards the twilight of his career before he retired. So having somebody like that, like Chris Harris on your roster and maybe taking some snaps is extremely beneficial. Once again, I have the Saints winning this game by a score of 23-16. Should be an interesting game, but we don't want to see the game get out of hands. It would be great to see the New Orleans Saints actually have some balance this game. It would be great to see the Saints hold on to the football in this game and also convert on third downs, and also utilize the screen game, get Alvin Kamara involved in the passing game in order for him to make plays. And let's try to see if we can get some of these other guys on board. It's not about the sprint sometimes. Sometimes it can be about the marathon. Sometimes it doesn't just take one play and just make it a killer, 60 yards down the field. How about going a 5 or 6 play drive or a 7 to 10 play drive? Keep your defense fresh, control the time of possession, and maybe, I don't know, just maybe don't take your crowd out of the game before it starts. All right. How about winning a game at home? How about that? How about actually winning a game where you lay your head? All right. How about that? How about winning in the Superdome for once? You know what I'm saying? It's been a while since the Saints actually won the Superdome, which that sounds like blasphemy, if you've been following the New Orleans Saints over the last couple of years. But I got my big brother EJ who just chimed in. EJ, how you doing, man? I'm sorry, man. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Okay, we're gonna let him dial back in. But yeah, anyway, how about winning at home? How about doing that? All right. Can you hear me? I guess he having. I guess it's an issue with your microphone. All right. So while he's doing that, we'll try to see if we can try to get him on the line. I think he's having some issues with his mic setup. Let's see. Hardy was trying to do too much. Saw a couple guys do it. Just a few too many mistakes. Yeah, I mean, but that's what happens when you're losing, and it just seems like, like everything's going wrong. I got to do something before it gets way out of hand. It happens, right? But you can't do too much, and that's one of my issues. Also, I just feel like this team is a little bit too uptight. It's like people are starting to, I don't want to say panic, but it just seems like to me like you want to take accountability, but you don't want to take accountability like, okay, it's on me. Like, no, it's still a team game, right? You still got to trust the process, but you got too many guys when the Saints start losing by 7 or maybe 10 points, then all of a sudden, like, here come guys like just start trying to force their game to happen. And that's not going to happen. It is not going to happen. You're going to end up making mistakes because you're too uptight and you're trying too hard. And that's kind of what teams want. They want you to start to panic so they can take advantage of what you're trying to do, right? So they can take advantage of your effort. Like you trying to, lunge forward. You know what I'm saying? That may make you, cause you to kind of, run the ball a little bit, with less strength or hold on to it so they can just easily pop it out. Because now you're so focused on, man, I got to get 2 more yards for this first down. Like all that kind of stuff, when you start thinking like that, that's when the mistakes start to arrive. Boy, if we don't win today, I'm going to burn my wife's Seahawks jersey. Nah, don't do that now. Say don't burn your wife's jersey now. Nah, we don't want that. But let's see. They just need a little miracle as all Saints are telling. I don't think they need no miracle. I just think they need to execute and win. Miracles are for teams that don't have the talent, don't have the ability to win. This team has the ability to win. It'd just be nice to see it happen every now and then versus, I don't know, never happening, feel like it never happens. All I know is Traquan better prove something to me. I want to see Hill play at tight end, and Hardy better not drop one return. Well, look, I'm not looking for Traquan Smith to prove anything to me. If we looking for Traquan Smith to prove something in order for the Saints to win, boy, would we be in trouble. No disrespect to Traquan. Like Traquan has stepped up and made some clutch catches. I mean, like the guy or not, but man, he's made some clutch catches to keep the Saints in the game. So I'm not expecting for him to go out there and go for 5 catches for 117. But what I am expecting, like, if he's open, catch the ball, right? He had a 16-yard catch last week that was clutch. Like, how about that? Like going out there making some things happen. Like, I'm not expecting for him to go off. I'm not expecting Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase out there. But if you they throw the ball to you, catch it, right? But I mean, he's come up clutch. So if he can just catch a couple passes that come his way, then I think they'll be fine. And like I said, just run the football. Just run the football. Let's have a balanced attack, and let's just hold on to the football. I'm not trying to make an excuse, but the refs did more for Minnesota to win than we did to lose that game last week. Brandon, look, I get it. That makes a lot of sense. Y'all heard me go off on the referees, but how about not putting it into the hands of the referees? How about executing so well that they can't deny you? How about not being so involved in these nip and tuck games to a point where, hell, you know what I'm saying? Like you gotta, you looking like, I hope the referees don't screw us this week. How about that? How about that? I'm just saying, like, I get these referees been screwing the New Orleans Saints, and we know this. I mean, there's analytics to support this. Players have spoken out about this. But if you know this, like, think about this, man. If you had a man or a woman that didn't have your best interests at heart, why the hell are you still with them? Why are you still trying to push the issue? It's obvious that they're not good for you, right? So what are you going to do? You have to rise above that situation. You got to move on. Seriously, if the Saints fans, the organizations, the coaches, the players, all us know that the referees, more times than not, do not have the best interests of the New Orleans Saints at heart. So how about taking it out of the referees' hands? How about not, continuously, giving these guys ammunitions to screw you over week after week? And some people would say, well, this is the NFL. This is the NFL. The margin for error is very, very thin. Like, I get all that. But how about executing? How about not shooting yourself in the foot? How about going out there, not jumping aside? How about, not fumbling the football? Giving these teams hope that shouldn't even be in the same stadium with you when it comes to talent or execution. How about that? Giving these guys hope. How about not doing that? And maybe, just maybe, we won't be having to continuously talk about how bad the referees are when it comes to Saints football. Jordan, thank you very much for the 499. Says, I appreciate Sean Payton for everything and I respect his retirement. But have you ever wondered why he never drafted a quarterback even though Breeze was aging? Well, they wanted a quarterback. His name was Patrick Mahomes. But the Chiefs took him, right? And look, I'm not trying. I'm honestly, I'm not trying to just draft a quarterback just to draft a quarterback. Like, well, we had Garrett Grayson, you know what I'm saying? He was terrible. Like there are some moments where you might end up having to draft a person, draft a player, but it should never, well, I'll put it like this. It should never be to a point where you feel like, I have to get this guy because this is what we need. No, you go for like the best player available. So if you maybe there was a time where hindsight is 2020, right? If you go back and you look at like some quarterbacks that have come into the league, like them or not, like people like Dak Prescott and Kirk Cousins and guys that you can win some games with them, you know what I'm saying? But how many, hindsight is 2020. Like you did not know what Patrick Mahomes was going to end up being. You didn't know, I don't know what Josh Allen was going to end up being. Like Jared Goff, Carson Wentz. Like you just draft these guys just to draft them. And it's like, man, I hope for the best, put a system behind them. And Sean Payton has never been that way. Sean Payton is a guy who gets to where he feels like would be a good fit for the team. So once again, hindsight is 2020. Like we can look at these guys now and be like, man, why we ain't draft them? Like Lamar Jackson. Like you had opportunity to draft Lamar Jackson, right? You did. You had an opportunity to draft Lamar Jackson, and you didn't. You decided to go with Davenport. But I'm pretty sure they probably thought, Lamar Jackson, elite talent when it comes to the speed, not so much at the quarterback position. But now look at him. Jalen Hurts, same thing. So I can't really fault a team for like trying to, do the draft their way. And they probably felt like those guys wouldn't have been a good fit for the offense they were trying to run. I get it. I'm not in a business of just drafting guys just for the simple fact of drafting them because they're there. We got a whoop since it tonight. Packers just lost to the Giants. That must mean, man, the Giants must be pretty doggone good. Laughing. Let's see. We got to play better tonight in guys' eyes. Lamar won a Heisman and we passed up on it. Oh, man, but that don't mean nothing. I mean, I can tell you a lot of guys who won the Heisman ain't paying out in the NFL. All I'm saying is hindsight is 2020. Nobody thought like Lamar Jackson would be as great as he is right now. I mean, all this is like we have the benefit of seeing this play out in real time. But at the time, they probably thought like, Davenport would have been, should have been or was better. And if you think about like Davenport's upside, like minus the injuries and what he's doing, like you can completely understand like why the Saints drafting him. Like you can get it. You can completely understand. Like, let's just say if Davenport is who he is and you don't know, you don't know his injury history. You telling me that was a bad decision? I wouldn't. Let's see. I'm gonna read one more and then we're gonna go ahead and get up out of here. Lamar Jackson does not want to return to sign with the Ravens at all. They offered him Mahomes type of money, and he turned that down to go to another team. He does not want to come back to the Ravens at all. I don't believe that. I think that they were trying to negotiate a contract. He didn't like it. And I think that they were kind of hesitant on him being the future of the franchise. And now he's out there, doing his thing. Yo, E, can you hear me? See if he ever hooked up. Well, I guess not. But yeah, Lamar Jackson, I just think that he's betting on himself. And now, he's playing so well, he's going to make the market and it's going to make the money go even higher. But thank you all so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Really do appreciate it. Shouts out to everybody here. Hope everybody enjoyed the game. I ask that the 202 people watching this right now hit the like button if you have not already. Hopefully this can be a good game. Hopefully we get a victory so we can talk about. I'll be back at halftime to break down what happened in the first half. And, of course, we'll have our Week 5 post-game show where we break down what happened between the Seattle Seahawks and the New Orleans Saints. Hope everybody has a great day. Hope we saying who that all day long, because I'm going to start it off by saying, Paxton, say who that? Who that? All right. Who that?